Alright, well, week 6, day 1. I'm a little behind on my videos because I am exhausted. I ran in some boxes, so I apologize for those of you who are waiting for this, but I know several of us are in different places in different times, and so I try to make them so you guys can get this stuff and do it on your own time. So those of you who have been patient for me, thank you. I will get the videos for day 1 and 2 done today. Here we go. Mexico's fight for independence. Yesterday was Cinco de Mayo, and we're going to learn a little bit about that. So this is the table of contents, and I'm going to zoom this in even more because this is why your packet's small, is because I just kind of shrunk these up. If you're ever in Mexico on September 16th, you'll find yourself in the middle of a big celebration. Note, that sounds like a good time. You'll see parades, fireworks, food, confetti, except for not this year. Toys, horseback riders, rodeos, bullfights, and many happy people. I wonder if they still do this. A lot of people don't do that anymore because of animal rights activists and animal cruelty. September 16th is Mexican Independence Day. Mexicans are honoring their country's freedom. What is independence? It is self-rule. As you get older, you will have more independence and responsibility. You will rely on yourself, decide what's important to you, and make rules to live by. In the case of Mexico, when the country won its independence, Mexicans were responsible for making their own laws. Freedom like that is worth much sacrifice and work. True. The first people in Mexico. The land that we now call Mexico, long before Mexico became a country, was occupied by groups of people living in the tribes. These people were the native people of Mexico, who were born there before people from other lands arrived. This book is about people of Mexico and their fight for independence. You know, it's interesting because I was just thinking back on this page and they mentioned this date, September 16th. What about May 5th? Why is that? Why is that a day we celebrate? Oh, who knows? Maybe it's like the whole Columbus thing. There were 3 major groups of civilization in early Mexico. Each group had a particular way of living. For many years, they hunted animals and gathered wild plants for food. Eventually, they began to farm to feed the people in their villages. Their most important crop was maize or corn. The first great civilization was the Olmec. They lived in the coastal lowlands along the Gulf of Mexico. The climate in that area allowed the Olmecs to grow and harvest maize twice a year. The abundant food production allowed the civilization to grow strong. No one knows exactly why the Olmec civilization ended in 200 BC. No one? Really? That's crazy. I bet it had to do with disease, because that's a big deal. That wipes out a whole population. The next major civilization, which started around 300 AD, was the Mayan. By around 900 AD, the Mayans were thriving. They excelled in architecture and art. They also made astronomy tables that were quite accurate and developed a mathematical system that included zero. Zero was an advanced concept for that time. Unlike the Olmecs, the Mayans left written record of their lives, so we know much about them. But like the Olmecs, the Mayans were another advanced civilization that suddenly and mysteriously disappeared. That's insane. Really? 2 of them? 2 cultures. 2 entire aliens, question mark? Fascinating. The third great Mexican civilization was the Aztec. Now they're starting to sound guilty if they're still around. By 1430, the Aztec ruled the Valley of Mexico. Yeah, maybe they killed everybody. And they spread over the entire country. They built an impressive city called I honestly don't know how to say that. I know I read it and heard it. I'll look it up. Tenochtitlan, which was essentially Mexico's capital city. And Tenochtitlan was the island in Lake Texcoco. The city had 200,000 residents, with 400,000 more living nearby. In the early 1500s, there were about 1.2 million people living in the Valley of Mexico and the area Mexico City now occupies. Look up the names. I gotta look that up. And then, that's a lot of people for that time. I bet somebody just got sick. I mean, it seems like a lot of people from back then. What do I know? Alright, so I've got a couple questions I wrote down. If I go back to my reading, I would write down those questions and the things I wondered and the connections and thoughts that I had. Alright, see you later.